Hey, Vinyl Community, Jeff here. Time for a little fun over the weekend. Yeah, this past weekend was Father's Day, and so I wanted to show what I got that was vinyl related for Father's Day. But also, the wife and I had went out on Saturday and hit a bunch of thrift stores. It was kind of a nice day, and we didn't have a ton of things that had to be done, so we kind of went shopping. So I wanted to show some of that. I found some interesting things, interesting to me, maybe not so much to you. Um, so we went to a thrift store. We went to a series of thrift stores that we have not been to that often. So they're scattered all over in the cities around us. And so we just went over to the next town over, and we go over there every couple months to hit those stores. And so we did. And we went to the first store, and I found one or two things that I could have rescued, but I walked out of there with nothing. I'm like, I don't want to just buy filler stuff to have. So moved on to the next one. Then not finding a whole lot, but then went to one that actually was listed, said going out of business, everything's 60% off. So, and I've found some decent stuff there in the past. So I went in there, and they used to actually have a section behind the counter of rarer stuff. And they had like a box of record stuff. So I went in and asked him where that was. He said it probably all got put together in the rest of the bin, and they had all the records in a big bin. And there was, it was the typical stuff. If that things had been put out there, then they've been gone. I don't know how long they've been going out of business. But anyway, didn't find a ton, but I did find a couple things. So I found this. Now, Chris Christian, few of his studio albums were recently reissued by Gerder Music. And so this is more of a contemporary Christian, kind of a poppy type thing. But as you can see, the reason I bought it is because it's with Whiteheart. So this is live at Six Flags. This happened back in the 80s. And there is also a Whiteheart live at Six Flags. So I assume what went down is Whiteheart played there. Chris Christian came out and Whiteheart played as his backup band. So this is something, I just have never really seen before. But I bought it because of the Whiteheart affiliation and, figured that I could enjoy that. I believe I still need the Whiteheart live version. That's probably one of the only early Whiteheart albums that I do not have still on vinyl, I believe. But anyway, so yeah, cool stuff. I thought, and it was in great condition. It still had the shrink on it. It was unsealed, but it still had the shrink on it. The shrink was starting to kind of tear a little, so I took it off. But yeah, so this was a cool find in my opinion. Checking that out. And then this next one, this is where it gets kind of weird. This is a weird one. And I actually put these back, and I said I don't really want to buy those. And my wife's like, no, go get them. Everything's 60% off. It's probably, they were like $1 and the 60%, just go get them. They're less than $1. And so I'm like, all right, fine. So I picked up the Lefevre's in High Five. So the Lefevre's, as soon as I saw this, I grabbed it and I thought, interesting. So I'm a big fan of Mylon Lefevre. He came about in the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. He passed away a couple years ago. And, so I knew that he came from a background of his family. The Lefevre's were a gospel band that did a lot of touring and did a lot of playing in the 50s, 60s, etc. And there are a couple albums that I've got my eyes out for called the Lefevre's, featuring Mylon and one of his other brothers, I believe. There's a few of them where Mylon was a little older before he went. He kind of left the family business and went out and became just a mainstream rock and roller. He was working with Elvis and people like that and doing a lot of, just Mylon and Holy Smoke. It was just kind of a blues-based southern rockish band. And then later in the 80s or late 70s, early 80s, he kind of came back and started singing faith-based songs. But prior to that, there were a few albums with the Lefevre's featuring Mylon. Now, this one I picked up and I grabbed it and I just flipped it over and looked it over. And sure enough, look at that. On the back is a little picture of young Mylon. So I read the little description on the back, and apparently they discussed the brothers writing this. And he said, this is my brother Mylon, and, he does sing on this album. So, I thought, okay, well, that'd be kind of neat. This appears to be the way that they feature that on the back, maybe one of the first times that Mylon appeared with the band singing. And so I listened to the album, and it's not like I hear him stand alone singing. There is a song where there's it doesn't sound like a kid. It sounds whatever. So I don't know if he's got any kind of solos here or if he's just joined the band. But there are a couple where he's featured in the name. But this one, so, you know, I looked it up. This is like 1960s. Couldn't be that late. He's born in 44. I forget the year on this. Early 60s. I grabbed that. The other one they had, and again, I wasn't going to buy it either, Songs of Happiness by the Lefevres. Now, this one, I looked it up to see that this is a 1965. It's a pressing that's in the 60s. Maybe it's 62 or something. But the actual album is like 1958. This is a repress of, apparently, the first Lefevres album. Now, Mylan doesn't appear to be on here, but again, it was kind of like they had both of them, you know, and everything was, you know, I got all 3 albums for less than $2. It was like, okay, I guess I'll go ahead and get this. So interesting, just interesting, some Southern gospel from a band that spawned Mylan and his career, which I've really enjoyed. So I grabbed those. Now we moved on. We went to, down the street, went to the actual record store that I go to for Record Store Day. We go there all the time. And they have tons of stuff, and there's always more stuff than I can afford to get. And so, but I went through, and they have a big section called cutouts, and I'm always looking through there because it's always nice. I've bought a lot of good stuff there for lots of discounted price, and I picked up the newer Billy Idol. Now, they had this marked down. It was like $15, which I thought, well, that's cool. It's an EP. I had not heard or really checked out this album. I had heard the other one that Billy did, which was also another EP, but had not checked this out. So anyway, I came home and put this on, and I'm like, why did nobody tell me how great this album is? This is great stuff. This is nothing like I remember. I mean, this is nothing like the classic Billy. Oh, there's some really rocking stuff on here. But yeah, so I was thrilled to get that. And again, I didn't mind getting it for a discount. It was great stuff. Now, then I'm going through and I'm flipping through some other stuff, and I found this Purple Rain. Now it does say, and it was like $8. I need a version of Purple Rain. I can never find it for less than like $20. So I was kind of surprised, but then I saw this thing here. It says a few skips, but oh, that hype sticker. So see, it's got the shrink on it, and it does have that hype sticker, which this thing wants to get stuck in this bag. I'll pull that out. Maybe JC would rule over that if he didn't have one of those. So, you know, so I'm like, you know, my wife's like, get it. Maybe, you know, you could probably take it home and clean it up and get rid of those skips. So, I'm like, I don't know. My wife's like, no, just buy it. So she actually went up to buy it. She says, you need to buy this album. So the hype sticker is beautiful. So I got home, and I mentioned to the guy, the owner, he was like, yeah, I tried to clean it myself. He says, I can usually get 95% of the skips gone, but he said it's a rougher copy, and you know, he's like, good luck with that, and you're probably going to want to get a playable copy at some point, because he said it's kind of in rough condition as far as that. It didn't look it looks beautiful, but you can see there's a couple like scuff marks, but I didn't see any or feel anything, so I wasn't sure. Anyway, so I went ahead and got it. And then he ended up giving me 25% off. They do that when you buy a lot of newer stuff. So it was only like $6. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I got home and I played it. And it plays fine. The only song that skipped was When Doves Cry at the very end. During the moaning stuff at the end, it skipped once. I kind of toyed with it a little bit to see if I can keep it from skipping. And then it skipped like a second time later on, near the tail end of the song. And that was it. Other than that, the album played fine from start to finish. Just a little bit on When Doves Cry. So definitely worth the price. And they do that for all of it. You know, it does say that, but you know, thrashed but cool. They do this on a lot of the used stuff, just to let you know that it is used. But yeah, and the hype sticker, great stuff. So there you go. So I picked that up. Now, then I'm over and I'm like, before I picked that up, and I think I had Billy Idol. So I'm looking at other things, and I'm considering maybe I'll buy something, a newer release, to support local business. And so I'm flipping through and I'm looking at the newer releases, and I found one, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll just buy this here rather than waiting for the price drop on Amazon. I picked it up, I looked at it, and then and I'm considering it, and then I'm like, okay, maybe not. So I put it back, and and I ended up coming out with that because then later I found the Purple Rain. Anyway, I'm glad I didn't do that because the next day for Father's Day, I opened up the one vinyl record that my son got. The kids pitched in, most of the kids pitched in and got me a whole brand new set of drum bags, the canvas zip bags, because one of my drum bags on my bass drum is totally ripped, and when you pick it up, it's totally wide open. And I've had those same drum bags for probably close to 20 years. They've served me well. And so they bought me a new set of drum bags. So they all pitched in. But one of my younger son got me a record. He's good for that. He's good for getting me records. So he knows what I love too. But yeah, so you get the things you need and you get the things you want. So anyway, so he bought me a record, and it happened to be the one that I picked up. I almost bought the new Collective Soul album at the store Saturday, and I'm like so glad I didn't because it was at my door Sunday when he showed up. So I'm like, oh, God, such crazy. But anyway, yeah, so the new Collective Soul, you've probably seen, I'm a big Collective Soul fan. I've listened to this a couple times online. I don't know if I think they're all on gold, I guess, but it is on gold. Yeah, and so they had got this for me. My son and daughter-in-law got this for me, and I'm like, that is so fortunate that I did not pick up that one on Saturday. But yeah, so anyway, there you go. New Collective Soul. If you haven't heard it, it's good stuff. Like I say, I really enjoyed them. They took a break there for a while. They've been putting back great music now for a handful of years, and I've really been enjoying this new phase of material. And and then they've been slowly reissuing the old stuff on vinyl, and I've got a good majority of it. There's only a couple there in the middle that I think have not come out. The store that I bought this used stuff up, this is another thing I almost got, but when I was looking through the used stuff, they had a used copy of the 7 Year Itch album by Collective Soul, the Best Of album that came out, and it got released on vinyl in the past couple months. That was kind of shocking. I'm like, somebody bought it and already sent it back as a used album. And I literally almost bought it. But the thing is, I'm like, it's a Best Of album, and I have all their albums. So I talked myself out of it, and it was still like $20. I'm like, I don't need a Best Of album for a band that I have all their stuff for. So I didn't buy it, and but I should have, because, I'm a completist and I want to have everything. But anyway, great stuff, new collection. So that's it for this one. That was my weekend. How was yours? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you later. Rock on and rock hard.